So this is gonna be our D assignment, and for this, go ahead into Photoshop and go ahead and open up the image of the leopard, which is called animal skin JPEG. Okay, that image actually is not very small, so if I go back to that image with image size, I want to change the resolution. We're going to make it a low res image because we're going to do a lot of things to it. So make it a 72. Okay. Now you probably see that this image is still kind of, it's a square. So this is a leopard, right? So we're going to do a leopard. But what we're going to do, we're going to do a text first. So we're going to make a fuzzy, what's called a fuzzy text. And that's going to apply effect to it. Now, one way, if you ever work with type, we're going to use type. And we're going to need to select some type that's kind of bold. I'm going to use Rockwell Extra Bold. And the size of it, of the extra bold, okay, it's going to be 72. Actually, let me see if that might be too big. Let us make it into 60 points. And then just click on it and type leopard. Okay. And you can probably see, oh, never mind. If I can, yeah. That might be actually too small. I'm like, let's do 60. You can go ahead and change your measurement, see 72. And if you think that's still too small, you can type it in. Or another way is you can use your Command T, which is direct transform, and move it up and change that. Okay. Now I still think that the type itself, maybe we could adjust the image as well, right? Because the image is what we're gonna do. It's kind of doing a clipping mask without doing a clipping mask. But if I want to have my type more constrained to the size, or maybe my skin, I'm gonna go back to my background image, and what I'm gonna do is Command T. All right. Now, if it doesn't work, it's because our background is locked. So double click on the lock and name it skin. Did you double click? So unlock it, name it skin. Now go ahead on your keyboard, click Command T, and drag the corners. And I don't care, you can be out of proportion right now, I don't care. As long as it's kind of smaller and you need to have some space around it, okay? That's good. Now you probably see you have all kinds of extra space on the image. So what we're gonna do now, we're actually going to use your crop tool and kind of crop around your leopard, leaving enough room on the sides for the effect. And I may actually move my type a little bit to the right. Oh, accidentally. Wrong tool. So you're always on the right tool when you crop. Okay. So that's good. That's kind of where I want to be with my leopard. Now, the way this is gonna work, we need to move our type underneath the skin. So we need to just switch them. Now, if you wanted by default having a clipping mask, you can go ahead and create clipping mask, and there you're happy, right? But what we're gonna do is we want the little edges, kind of ruffly edges around. That's my new word, ruffly. Furry edges. So I'm gonna undo this. So don't do clipping mask. Okay. What I want you to do is click on the Command key when you click on the type on your layer, on this little key. Look what it does. It selects your type as a selection. Cool? All right. After that, make sure you're still on the skin, and we're gonna make a layer mask. So you see how we're working with layer mask a lot? They're pretty useful. Add layer mask. So it kind of looks like a clipping mask, right? But it allows us to do all kinds of things with it. And it's a quick way. Now, next thing we're gonna do with this selection, if it's not loading and you cannot see it, what we wanna do, go back to your type again. So go back, right click, and what we're gonna do, we wanna apply, Okay, what we want to do is create a work path on this, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So create work path and let it go. I create a work path. Now go back to your layer mask of leopard. Make sure you have it selected, otherwise it creates a mess. And we're gonna have to do some things with that creation. So go ahead, go to that point. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna load some brushes to use, and they actually are defaulted for Photoshop. You just need to bring them out. So go back to your brush tool. Right now we may have to be switching, but probably black will be the foreground color for this, I think. Don't quote me, it might be wrong, it might be white. So I'm leaving it alone for now. Go ahead onto your brushes, and on the side of your brushes here is a little setting. See a little wheel there? Looks like a flower. Okay. I want you to select DP brushes. Okay? You have the DP brushes selected. Select that. It's gonna tell you to append. Append means just adding to the rest, or just show them only and nothing else. So it's up to you. I'm gonna do mine already shown, but you can do append. So do append. I had to cancel because I use it. Now go to the bottom. That's a number 461. Select that brush. 461. Got it? 461? Oh, where's my screens? There they are. It's like my screen keeps moving on me. There, it appeared. Alright, so now you notice the brush is pretty big. So first thing we need to do is adjust the size, make it smaller. Now, do you want to, now we're not done, but we can, you know, kind of figure out this might be a good size. Now go ahead and go to the next option, the brushes. And again, we're going to work with a few things on here. So by default, I will select already my transfer, because that's going to be important. And we're going to use look at the brush tip first. And actually, I like my sizes. 7 is pretty good. Yeah. The spacing. Now, you probably don't want it to be too far, so I'm going to leave it at 25 or something. Let me see. Yeah, 25 looks good. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is the shape scatter. And we're going to do the scattering after that. Okay. So go ahead, go to that option. I mean, shape dynamics, what am I saying? That scattering. I'm thinking scattering. And change it to jitter 200. Okay. Then the rest, we're going to do angle jitter to 10. 10. Roundness jitter 200. And minimum roundness, I'm just going to leave it at 1. Okay. So far, so good. Looks like this. Now, if you really want to reuse this brush, this is all we have. If you really want to reuse this brush, this is what I would suggest you do. You save it. In the bottom of this, you have create a new brush. So we can name it. Furry. It's a good name. So now, go ahead and start brushing. So can you imagine this? So the hard way is what? If we did it the hard way, I'm gonna close this. It's brushing on this. You think how long that's gonna take? It may take a while. Oh, la 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 la. Okay. Well, there's an easy way. That's why we have the selection. So what we're gonna do, and make sure in the right place too when you do this. Make sure you have your layer mask selected. And also your type, kind of like, make sure you have your skin and work path selected. That's important. So my leopard. Because it kind of looks like it selected the object around it, because that is extremely important for you and for me, especially for you. Go to your pen tool. Navigate to the image of your pen tool, right click. Don't click on anything. Just right click right when you get the pen tool. Otherwise, if you click on a path, it's gonna tell you a path, okay? It should show you a little path under. You see when you click the pen tool, a little path shows? Select stroke path. And make sure you select brush. Probably have pencil. Brush is what we did. And do okay. Look at that. It's doing a little bit fuzzy. Is that too much fuzzy? It might be too much. So if you think like, oh, I need to adjust my settings on my fuzziness, and I think it's too big, I'm gonna go back to my brush and adjust it really quickly. So I'm gonna change the size of the brush to maybe something smaller, like 35. So why don't you edit that out really quick? So go back, undo what you did, go back to the setting and just reduce the brush size because it was too big, it was 70. You can do 40, 37, whatever, okay? Do smaller size. Then go ahead and I'm going back to my pen tool. So I'm gonna repeat this step again. Right click, stroke path. Brush should be selected now because I did select it before, okay? That's better. But you notice it's not really fuzzy, right? It needs more. So now this is a cool trick that you can do. Go back to your brush and look at this. I want you to see this. This is cool. Go to your brush. Harris, everybody else, I want you to see this. Faith as well. Once I did that path, I want you to see this. And then you can do this. Click on return. And you can add the fuzziness until you think it's good. Isn't that cool? So go ahead and get to that point. Okay, so at this point, what we're gonna do is just a few things with this. We want to blur the edges a little bit because they kind of look funny. For some of you, look even worse. But you know, look kind of cute. So go ahead and we're gonna go into our filter now and blur. So we're gonna add a little bit of Gaussian blur. So we're gonna do very little, like point. Okay, you don't want to have like a lot. 1.2, like 1. Very cautious on that. That might be too much. So let me go 0.2, 3. Very tiny bit just to smooth out the edges. So I'm on the Gaussian blur, 0.3 of 0.2, very small. Next, what we're gonna do is we are going to make this effect stand out. Now you can unclick, you know, the workload layer is gonna go away. But double click on the side of your layer to bring out layer styles, or you can click on the bottom, just side of the layer. And I want you to click on inner shadow. So kind of bring it out. Inner shadow. Okay? And do okay. Now one thing, and this is just extra to do. At this point you can just save your image. But if what I'm gonna do now is kind of adding some of the nice color to it. So we can go ahead and go into our adjustment layers. And we are just going to change a little bit of hue and saturation, okay? So go to hue and saturation. And why don't you, now be careful though with saturating it, because you may actually not see the skin, I mean, like this. So be careful with the hue as well. But I'm going to saturate a little bit. It's very small. I'm not changing the hue because we don't want to mess up our brushes. Remember that? There's a layer mask as well. And so go ahead and apply a little bit of saturation to the image. So it kind of is more saturated. All right. Now at this point, we are going to save, and you will be done with this assignment. So this is going to be a TIFF. I actually made it to be a JPEG. So I guess you can save a TIFF for yourself if you want to edit it more. But if you finish with it and you think, okay, this is what you want to submit, it's going to be actually a JPEG, and you're going to name it Lab Assign 14D. And it's going to be a JPEG format. Okay, Lab Assign 14D. I mean 15D. I mean, I'm looking at 15 and I'm saying 14. For those, I hope you're looking and not listening. So save. And we're going to make it I just always go around 10 for my JPEGs. And voila. And that's it.